I am making an oral presentation of an article, a comprehensive article on pilgrimage to Sabarimala, which I have authored, in which I have brought out the true spirit of pilgrimage to Sabarimala, which is one of the unique and holiest place of pilgrimage. Before starting my oral presentation, let me start with a very short prayer. Harisha Putra Mitra Putra Mitra Samstutamari Sarigamadi Varna Varnya Punya Kirtaye Giriya Se Mahaujase Turiya Bhava Miyushe Namasavada Patra Patra Satmane Paratmane Anadhanada Bhavaga Prabhavaga Prabodhaga Prasiddha Siddha Rubine Namasavada Patra Patra Satmane Paratmane. The temple at Sabarimala, dedicated to Lord Ayyappan, also known as Manigandan, nestles on the banks of holy river Pamba river. It was here the tribal women did penance on Lord Sri Rama and attained liberation from clutches of mundane life and attained enlightenment when she touched Sri Rama's lotus feet during Treta Yuga. Hence this place came to be known as Sabarimala. Mala in Malayalam means mountain. It is surrounded by 18 hills. Each hill is having a presiding deity. It is covered with a thick forest and wildlife in the district of Pathanamthitta in Kerala state. It is situated on the Western Ghats or Sahyadri group of mountains. The ethereal beauty and serenity of the place are to be experienced rather than described. When passes through the forest and hills and banks of Pamba river, one literally becomes part of nature and grand design of cosmos. It is an enthralling experience compared to our hectic life in modern monstrous cities. We feel time is at standstill. It is one of very few famous pilgrim centers in India. The place was known by two other names, Madanga Mala and Ulkapattu. The saint Madanga did penance there. Ulka means place and Pattu means dazzling light or effulgence. What is the place of divinity? Lakhs of devotees visit temple every year during festive seasons. Every year, number of pilgrims both from Kerala and other states, even from other countries where Indians, especially Keralites, live, far exceeds the figure in the previous years. The record number is 40 lakhs. In South India, this temple is having second largest in terms of number of pilgrims visiting and income, first being Sri Venkateswara temple at Tirupati in Andhra Pradesh. Temple contributes rupees 100 crores or most to state exchequer. There are many routes to Sabarimala. The two traditionally accepted and generally taken route are via Irumeli and another one via Vandipperiyar. In Irumeli route, which is generally prescribed, one has to trek 40 miles by foot. It is arduous journey. One has to take this route to be benefited fully. The main festival seasons are worshipped during Mandala Masam, which is between 1st Vrikshiyam, that is Malayalam month, or 16th or 17th November, and 12th Janu, Malayalam month, or 21st December, and Magaravilaku, which falls on 14th January. The temple is kept open for darshan or public view and worship on those two occasions and on the Vishu day or first Malayalam year Chingam and first 5 days of every month. However, Mandala Puja and Magaravilaku are two main festive seasons when most of the devotees visit the temple. This is one cannot visit Sabarimala temple like visiting any other temples, particularly if one follows age-old traditions. Prior to visiting temple, one has to take vradam or observe certain austerities for 41 days. Vradam is a Sanskrit term meaning leading life following moral principles and leading a life of brahmacharya or celibacy, or controlling passions and leading a life controlled by human ideals. Austerities means that the pilgrim follows certain codes of conduct and leads pious life. He should keep both his body and mind pure. There is a ceremony which marks the day of the beginning of austerities called Malidal or Mudravirikal, as it is called in Malayalam language. It means wearing rosary made of Rudraksha or Tulasi beads. Rosary is a spiritual symbol. By wearing rosary, the devotees take vow to practice righteous way of living. In other words, it reminds us, or the devotee should be reminded to lead a frugal and righteous life. On a particular day, the pilgrim goes to a temple in the neighborhood along with the leader, who is called Guru Swami. Guru Swami collects the rosary after it is kept before the deity during ritualistic worship and puts it on to the pilgrim's neck. Guru Swami is a senior person who would have visited Sabarimala 18 or more than 18 times and would be well versed with the place and the religious rituals. The pilgrim who goes for the first time is called Kanyayapan. He respects Guru Swami, follows his directions during the period of austerities and accompanies him to Sabarimala. He also respects his parents and elders. He prostrates before Guru Swami, parents and elders before he starts his journey. The devotees are expected to develop this trait of being respectful towards elders and thus be humble as a part of their character. Guru Swami is a trainer of the devotee in spiritual development. Guru Swami should live up to the ideals which he is expected to pass on to his disciple. He is responsible to ensure safe journey of the pilgrim. He is believed to have received the blessings of Lord Ayyappan. He follows strict discipline in his life. The devotee should lead a simple, unostentatious and pious life. He should speak truth. He should keep his body clean by taking bath twice a day and by taking only vegetarian food, that again is moderately, and mind pure by entertaining only good thoughts and through prayers and bhajans or singing the glory of God. He wears a mundu or dhoti and upper garment in black color, which is typical Kerala dress except in color. Mundu is cotton cloth of 4 yards. He wraps up around his waist and the chest is covered with upper garment, which again is a sheet of cotton. Only 2 pairs of dresses are used. He takes bath twice a day, early morning and late evening. At the time of bath, he washes his clothes and put them for drying while wearing the other pair. The idea is to practice simple lifestyle and learn to be self-reliant rather than depending upon others to meet one's personal needs. He does not use any toilet items, hair oil, face creams, hair dye, etc. He puts mark on the forehead with vermilion or sandal paste or holy ash as reminder of surrender to the Almighty. He does not shave the face nor cut hair once he takes vrata. In other words, he allows beard and hair to grow from the day he starts vratam. The idea behind that is not to be obsessed with physical appearance. In Hindu culture, growing beard and hair is indications of developing vairagya or detachment to worldly comforts and pleasures. It is practice followed by great scientists for great saints from ancient times. However, they are kept neat and clean. Once he starts vrata, he is addressed as Swami, means Lord, and respected irrespective of his caste, social or economic background. The pilgrims to Sabarimala are considered as gods themselves, or divinity is attributed to them. When there is restriction for temple entry for the so-called low caste, there was no such restriction in Sabarimala. There is the unique distinction and beauty of the Sabarimala shrine. There is no discrimination among the pilgrims between rich and poor, between low or high caste. All are seen as equal. This happens in a society still stratified based on such criteria of caste, and untouchability is practiced, if not publicly, but in private. For instance, a member of high caste will not admit a member of low caste to his house, let alone a high caste marrying a low caste. Similarly, rich people do not respect poor people as they respect rich. As practice of untouchability is an offense in the eyes of law, it is not practiced publicly. In the case of Sabrimala pilgrims, we find the difference. In this case, no reservation is shown. Rich people mix with poor people, so also high caste people mix with low caste people. They share food together. Not only that, pilgrims are also given respect, irrespective of their caste differences. Even the most orthodox Hindus, such as those belonging to the caste of Brahmins, will not only admit people of low caste in their houses when they are pilgrims to Sabrimala, but would also serve them with due respect. Such change in attitude is remarkable. Thus, faith in Lord Ayyappan promotes absolute social equality and communal harmony. It is doubtful whether there is any other religious or spiritual movements which bring out such dramatic social effect. Today, the venomous caste, class, creed feelings influence every walk of life, personal, family, social and political, to the extent they cause communal tension and violence. Pilgrimage to Sabrimala as a force for promoting social equality should be highlighted to have its lasting effect. Now what happens is that those who stop social discrimination during period of pilgrimage revert to their old behavior of caste and class discrimination once they complete their pilgrimage. No attempt is made to change their habits. It is to be driven home to the minds of people that they derive the intended benefit from Sabrimala pilgrimage only if they continue to behave with all the people as equal, irrespective of distinctions of caste or creed, and continue practicing habits practiced during pilgrimage to Sabrimala. Hindu religion, Brahmanism, generally prohibits non-vegetarian diets based on principle of non-violence. There are people who avoid eating meat during some periods considered holy. This they are adopting for their personal convenience and based on wrong understanding. If they are truly God-fearing persons, would either stick to vegetarianism or stop the habit of non-vegetarianism once they are aware of the moral values. Similarly, they should practice all the good thoughts, habits practiced during the period of Sabrimala, even after its completion. In other words, they should change their life for better. Refinement of character and conduct of men are expected from undertaking Sabrimala pilgrimage. The dress originally recommended is black. The reasons are many. By black dress, one can distinguish oneself from others easily. The pilgrims are expected to maintain cleanliness of body by not coming in contact with others who do not keep themselves clean. Others keep away from pilgrims so as not to pollute them. In Hinduism, black color is considered holy. It does not stand for darkness or sorrow. It stands for expansive nature of ultimate reality or supreme power, we call God. Black colored clothes keep pilgrims' body warm compared to other clothes while they trek day and night exposed to cold weather. The wild animals cannot easily spot them out in the thick forest and this thus proves them with safety. Thus, wearing of black dress has several advantages and underlying rationale. Of late, this stipulation is not followed strictly. We find people wearing dhotis or blue, saffron color. Saffron color, which is also called the color of flame, fire, which symbolizes burning of our desires and their companions of evil tendencies, is indicative of detachment from worldly comforts. Mendicants wear such dress called kashaya vastra, called in Sanskrit. Such dress code announces that the person is not bound by worldly comforts and is a karma yogi, a man of selfless action, and is a reminder to him also to lead that kind of life amidst pressures of materialistic life. It reminds the person to guard against human weakness of being drawn to outside influences. Common man is preoccupied with his appearance and addicted to many other things of the outside world. For a mendicant, the needs are limited. He is fully engaged in whatever he does without a sense of doership and does it as discharging his duty with no desire for the fruit of his actions. Altruism and service-mindedness are the forces which drive him to action. He has nothing to gain personally. He thinks that some great force is working through him and is only an instrument and he is or an obedient servant following the direction of Almighty. Some people wear usual dress and just put a small shawl of black color on their chest more as an apology for the practice. The pilgrims are expected to lead an ordinary life without indulging in comforts and luxuries, and the dress code is one aspect. The purpose of dress code is to check our tendency to show off and make us frugal and thrifty in our habits and lifestyle. It makes us true to ourselves. It makes us to be in our true nature of being. The discipline pilgrims follow during the period of austerities is expected to bring in moderation in all aspects of their life subsequent to undertaking pilgrimage. A pilgrim should never rest content unless he achieves this. Pilgrim who is content with external source of joy that emanate from the trip to Sabarimala is like going to the seashore and feeling contented when he obtains shells from the seashore rather than getting pearls by diving in the sea. He is fully benefited by going to the seashore only when he gets pearls from the bottom of the sea. The pilgrim practices good habits. He refrains from smoking, drinking, taking drugs, gambling. He practices brahmacharya or celibacy, or not being under the influence of lust or abstaining from libidinal satisfaction even with one's own spouse. It is an acid test of self-control, controlling the most powerful passion and sublimating it for our higher goals. He does not overeat. Eats only one meal a day, supplemented by light refreshment at other times. It is known scientifically that moderate food habits are prerequisites for physical health, agility and well-being. The ill health which obesity causes and the ill effects of excessive intake of food rich in oil, sugar and salts are well known to us. The pilgrim's mind will not be preoccupied with day-to-day or mundane matters. He does not spend time in amusements and entertainments. He engages himself in pious activities like singing devotional songs, worship, servicing the needy, etc. He loves everyone and never thinks ill of anyone. He does only good to all. He does not do wrong to anyone. He does not indulge in any unethical or immoral activities. He controls his temper. He keeps calm, cool and composed both in joys and sorrows, pleasures and pains, gains and losses, victory and defeat. He is kind, humble, compassionate. He is not haughty or egoistic. He checks his selfishness for the feeling of I and mine and the habit of enjoying himself at others' cost. He feels neither proud nor elated when others treat him as Swami or Lord. Show reverence to him. In short, he leads a sattvic or righteous life, or life of values of human ideals, or life worthy of being human. Practice of austerities help him to develop control over his senses, cravings and impulses which prompt him in choosing wrong ways in life. Control or mastery over ourselves is a prerequisite for gaining divine blessings and godly experience as per ancient philosophical texts like Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas, Idihasas and so on. The Mahakavyas are the great saying like Aham Brahmasmi in Brihada Upanishad, Tattvamasi given in Chandogya Upanishad and Aham Atma Brahma given in Mandukya Upanishad all proclaim unequivocally that divinity is present everywhere and in everything. In other words, there is divinity in all of us. We are not aware of the God within us. We see only our physical body and our mind to an extent. There is something beyond body and mind we know as life force, the nature of which is unknown to common man like us. It is a manifestation of a very cosmic force, like the reflection of sun on different media which is imperishable. We can realize this supreme reality, power and consciousness only if we are not under the dictates of outside world and our mind, which is like the mind of a mad monkey stung by a scorpion, fickle and ever fluctuating, which runs after transient glitters of the world, is under our control. Lord Ayyappan is considered as warrior god or god of valor. He fights against enemies and other evildoers, defends righteousness, and establishes virtuous conduct in the present age of Kali Yuga, when the people are vulnerable to commit immoral or unethical acts and indulge in violence. Thus he is called by a special name Kali Yuga Varada, meaning protector against evil influences of Kali Yuga. He is also called Vindali Veera, meaning master archer or expert in the use of weapon. He was thorough in martial arts, ancient way of defense against aggressors. The weapons available for defense in ancient period were like those of bow and arrow, spear, mace, axe, chakras, and wheel like Sudarshana Chakra of Lord Vishnu and Lord Krishna, and so on, which are perhaps more powerful than the present day weapons. The power of those weapons depended on the power of the people who handled them. They were infused with divine power. They were used for defending the righteous cause. The wars fought during epic period was for righteous cause, unlike we find today, when the power of armament is used for curving down weak nations and exploiting their resources by powerful nations. In other words, most often the action is offensive and not defensive, although it is claimed as defensive act or to protect a country's interest or against its enemy. Another thing to be noted is that war is declared only when every form of diplomacy fails. For example, Lord Krishna, the ambassador, prevailed upon Kauravas for minimum, say just a village, out of what Pandavas were entitled to, and tried his level best to avoid war. War was fought only when Kauravas refused to give to Pandavas even an inch of land. We can even say that the Kurukshetra war was not fought to capture the kingdom and reclaim Pandavas' entitlement. It was fought to root out arrogance and atrocities committed by Kauravas on the people and establish a just rule. Similarly, Lord Sri Rama fought war against Ravana not to invade Lanka, in other words, not with imperialistic motive or motive for expansion of one's territory, but to rescue Sita and also, more importantly, to put an end to Ravana, who was a personification of evil qualities and misuse. Kidnapping a woman is the rarest of the rare crime, even today. In other words, the motive was not to establish a supremacy over another country. Today, we find war is waged to establish one's dominance over the country against which war is waged, though it is done under the guise of liberating people from autocratic or dictatorial rule. Another thing to be noted is that in ancient times some rules were followed even for waging the war. Fighting stops after the sunset. No unarmed persons and those defenseless people like women and children and disabled are harmed. Fighting starts when the day breaks with due warning, with blowing of gong and stops when sun sets to begin only next day. No trickery was used, and if used, the act was condemned. We know it affected Lord Sri Rama's reputation when he killed Vali, the monkey king of Kishkanda, by hiding from his sight and shooting him with an arrow, as reported in the epic Ramayana. In the modern day warfare, no such moral rules are followed. The dictum is everything is justified in war and peace. We who admire ourselves as civilized, modern, and claim to be progressive in our thinking should go back to thousands of years and learn from our ancestors, who could have never imagined the availability of the kind of modern gadgets we have, like computers, laptops, rockets, atomic warheads, and whatnot. Legends or mythology. There is an interesting legend behind Lord Ayyappan. Lord Ayyappan is believed to be the incarnation of Dharmashastra, a Vedic god. Dharmashastra is the son of Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, who took the form of an enchanting woman called Mohini for the following divine purpose. Both gods and demons were losing their immortality. To regain their immortality, they had to get Amrit or nectar. One who drinks nectar becomes immortal or ever living. Suras or gods on the one hand, Asuras or demons on the other hand, held Ananta snake as a rope tied around Mount Meru and churned Padai or ocean of milk. This is called Padai Madanam in Sanskrit. On churning they got pot of Amrit or Amrita Kalasam of demons. Bhasmasura caught hold of the pot of Amrit. Bhasmasura had got the boon from his parents that no one could kill him and that he would turn into ashes and meet with death only if he touches his forehead. God being frantic hatched a plan. It was not possible to fetch a pot of Amrit from Bhasmasura by fighting with him and defeating him. So alternatively, God made a plan to trap or trick Bhasmasura and get hold of Amrit. Vishnu, the Supreme Lord and the Creator of the universe, assumed the form of an enchanting lady called Mohini. Bhasmasura was enchanted by Mohini and wanted to dance with her. Mohini told him that she would be willing if she could dance with him, matching her steps exactly. He agreed. Both of them started dancing together. All on a sudden, Mohini got into a pose in which she touched her forehead with her palm. Bhasmasura, not remembering that he would be reduced to ashes if he touched his forehead, got into the pose himself, touching his forehead with his palm. The moment he touched his forehead, he was reduced to ashes. Thus he was killed, and Mohini took hold of the pot of nectar and distributed among the heavenly beings. It is said that Mahavishnu assumed the form of Mohini to score victory over demons by beguiling them. When Mohini narrated the story to Lord Shiva wanted to see Mohini's form. On seeing the charm, he fell in love. Shiva became romantic and had union with her. A son with combined strength of Shiva and Vishnu was born. He was Dharmashastra. He was given birth particularly to fight against evils and establish dharma or order in the society in Kali Yuga or the period of anarchy. There is another angle to the story or birth of Dharmashastra. He was given birth to destroy demons and protect the kingdom of heaven. Goddess Durga had killed Mahishasura demon, who attained great strength, misused it to harass everyone both on the earth and heaven. Sister of Mahishasura by name Mahishi wanted to take revenge against God for killing her brother Mahishasura. She had got the boon from Brahma, the creator of the universe, that no one could take away her life except the one born out of Lord Shiva and Lord Mahavishnu. In other words, no one born by normal biological process, meaning union of male and female, can kill him. Such boon was sought, thinking that such a birth of a child would be impossible, and thus assuming absolute safety. But God's power is much higher and incomprehensible. So it is said that Dharmashastra was born by the union of Lord Shiva and Vishnu, both being male, from the thigh of Mohini. It was not through normal biological process of conception, nurturance in the womb and delivery. Thus, the birth of Dharmashastra had different divine purpose to fulfill. There is a legend regarding the human form which Dharmashastra took as Ayyappan on the earth in service of the king of Pandalam. Pandya dynasty was ruling certain parts of South India. The descendants of Pandya dynasty lived scattered in places like Vallayur, Tenkashi, Shenkotai, Achankovil, Shivagiri and parts of Travancore. There is a legend regarding the human form which Dharmashastra took as Ayyappan on earth in service of king of Pandalam. Pandya dynasty was ruling certain parts of South India. The descendants of Pandya dynasty lived scattered in places like Vallayur, Tenkashi, Shenkotai, Achankovil, Shivagiri and parts of Travancore. They belonged to Chimbayanattu Kovil in Shivagiri. The king of Travancore, belonging to Venar kingdom, had given the right to them to rule Pandalam, a place in Kerala in the present Koilan or Kollam district. There was a descendant of this dynasty by name King Rajashekharan who lived 800 years ago. It is said that he was a poor Brahmin and a staunch devotee of Lord Shiva during his previous birth. He was very competent and just ruler. King Rajashekaran had no sons to inherit his kingdom when time was approaching for succession and to defend his kingdom after him, and he was very much upset. He and his consort, who was also a devotee of Lord Shiva, prayed for a child. Lord Shiva, moved by the devotion of Rajashekaran, wanted to be of service to him. So he ordered his son Dharmashastra to go to earth incarnating as Ayyappan or Manikandan. Dharmashastra took the form of a small child and was seen as lying on the banks of river Pamba, screaming. He was wearing a golden bell on his neck, thus he got the name Manikandan, meaning one who wears bell on his neck. He was shining with divine halo. King Rajashekaran, while returning from forest from his hunting expedition, heard the shrill cries of a child. He went round the banks of Pamba river and was surprised to see a child with extraordinary charm. While he was in double mind whether to take him to the palace or not, a saint appeared and told him that the child belonged to Kshatriya family or the family of warriors, whose traditional duty was to defend the country and his people, that he did not hesitate to take him to his palace, that he would protect him and his kingdom, that he would reveal his divine power, divine nature when he reaches 12 years of age, and that he would name him as Manikandan, meaning one wearing a bell on the neck. Accordingly, the king took the child to his palace. When he appraised his queen about the incident, she too was very happy for having a son to succeed him. They brought him up, showing on him all affection and care. He completed his education and training in Shastras and martial arts under the tender tutelage of an expert guru. His guru was wonder-struck seeing the extraordinary brilliance displayed by Manikandan. After finishing his education, he wanted to give good dakshina, or payment to be made to Guru for the instruction he received from him. Only if the student pays it, his education becomes complete. He is morally obliged to pay whatever the teacher asks. His teacher, knowing his divine powers, told him that he already knew his divine nature and felt blessed to have a student like him. He had only one small request to make, and that was that his only son, who was born dumb, should be given the ability to speak. Manikandan called the boy and placed his hand on his head. No sooner did he do this than started talking. In modern terminology, it is called miracle cure. Teachers joy knew no bounds. Manikandan appealed to his teacher not to reveal that incident to anyone. This shows that those who are really great seek no publicity. In fact, they shun publicity. Noble people are not for name, fame, power, position, applause, etc., which are short-lived. In the old wisdom it is said that what our right hand does, our left hand should not know about it. In other words, if our right hand is helping others, our left hand should not know about it. Ordinarily, we tom-tom even our small achievements, a small help we extend. A really service-minded person serves the needy silently without expecting anything in return by the way of name, fame, return help, etc. He sees that it is by divine grace that he got the opportunity to help the needy. It is through helping others with no motive for any personal gain, one weakens one's bondage to earthly life and is eligible for liberation. Buddhists believe that one can attain liberation while on this earth. Those who attain liberation are called as mumukshus. It is believed that they, after their death, come back to earth to serve the needy. The liberated souls enjoy eternal and absolute joy. Manikandan returned to palace. King, queen and his subjects were ready to enthrone him. Meanwhile, king's divan and advisor, who was evil-minded and greedy, had an eye for the throne. He found Manikandan was an obstacle to fulfilling his desire and wanted to kill him. He tried by various ways, including poisoning his food, but Manikandan survived those attempts. Although He suffered bodily injuries. It is said that no physician could heal those injuries. Lord Shiva had to appear as physician in human form to heal his injuries. From this we should understand we may suffer if we are destined due to some past deeds, but its severity could be less and it could be made bearable if we are blessed with God's grace on account of the deeds of virtues done by us. God may give us the mental strength to bear the sufferings. The alternative in our mundane life, unmixed joy in material life, is a utopian dream. We should not ask God to give us a life free from sufferings, but to offer us strength and forbearance to withstand the thick and thins of life. The divine devised another plot to get Manikandan killed. Meanwhile, the king and the queen had a son of their own. Divan influenced the queen by evoking her sentiments towards her son. Divan told the queen that she should not allow Manikandan to succeed the king and that the son was the legitimate heir to the throne. He also added that even according to sacred tests of justice, there was no harm in adopting foul means to achieve rightful goals. He told her further that she should pretend as if she was suffering from excruciating headache and stomach pain, that he would see that the physician he would bring to the court would prescribe tigress milk to cure her illness, that only Manikandan alone would volunteer to go to the forest, that he would be prey to wild animals. He added that the king would not consider him eligible for the crown if he failed to bring tigress milk. The queen pretended as instructed by Divan, cried out aloud promising unbearable headache and stomach pain. This episode shows that any time our evil instinct can come up, and if aroused it may have damaging effects. When we are in the bad company, the chances are that we get spoiled even if we are perfect, unless our character is deeply rooted in values. In such case, we may reform the person with vices when they are in our company. Queen was all out to enthrone Manikandan till Divan misguided her, but due to her inherent virtues, she realized her folly and welcomed the idea of Manikandan being enthroned. The best physician whom the Divan brought to the court as ordered by the king was hand in glove with the Divan in his plot. He told what Divan wanted him to tell, that the queen was suffering from serious disease and prescribed only tigress milk as a remedy. Hearing this, the king and his subjects were shocked, as it was not easy to get tigress milk. King, due to his blind attachment to his queen, was ready to sacrifice anything. He offered half of his kingdom to the person who would bring tigress milk, but no one came forward. There was no one there who thought he could risk his life, though the offer was lucrative. The queen was misguided by her minister. She was parochial in her attitude. She wanted her own son to be crowned, although they got Manikandan first. She was after fame, name and influence. This episode makes clear the following points. When our mind is clouded by selfish desires, we cannot be objective and may act in wrong way. We may develop prejudice and work against those whom we mistake to be our adversaries or competitors. We may not act according to dharma or righteousness. We should caution against the working of selfishness in us. Even when a person does something wrong to us, we should not neither react to him violently, nor hate him, nor brand him as our enemy and be revengeful. We should understand that most often it is due to the spur of the moment that a person loses his control or commits some misdeeds. Provocation without counter-provocation turns harmless. The readiness on the part of the king to offer anything to save the life of treacherous queen means the following. Our slavish attachment and blind love for anything will upset our mental balance. We may lose in touch with the reality and may act in such a way being unaware of possible disastrous consequences of our actions. We may act on the spur of the moment without giving due thought. Our viveka or discriminatory intellect may not work. The lesson we should learn is that we should not be too much attached to anything. Everything in the world, including physical beauty, passes off like smoke in the air, leaving no trace behind. There is nothing in this world that is not subjected to vagaries of time. Anything that is created or integrated should inevitably pass through sustenance, growth, nurturance, and finally disintegration and disappearance. It is also an example of the human tendency to unwise use of resources. Wealth symbolic of goddess Lakshmi as per Hindu wisdom should be put to proper or constructive use. Moderation, austerity, frugality are the oft-repeated words used in handling money and other things of economic value. Hardly anyone came forward though the offer was lucrative, as it involved high personal risk to life. Manikandan, being duty-bound, came forward. He did not want to send him as he would be enthroned shortly. Manikandan, knowing fully well that the king would not permit him, instead of asking permission directly, tricked him. He asked whether the king would grant him whatever he asked. The king, out of love towards Manikandan, promised that he would. Then Manikandan immediately asked him that he should allow him to go to the forest for tiger's milk. Manikandan thus showed to the world the duty of children to their parents, even foster parents or parents who adopted him, by being role model himself. As king could not break his promise, he nodded his head, signaling permission, though he was caught in grief. That was how Dasharatha felt when she had to send his son Sri Rama to the forest to keep his word to his wife Kaikeyi, who also tricked him to grant her the wound given to her. Similarly, the Emperor Mahabali, who ruled over Kerala, kept up his word that he would grant the land to Vamana, which he could measure with his 3 strides of feet, though his guru Shukracharya warned him that it would turn harmful to him if acted as per his promises. He did not heed to his word, allowed Vamana to place his 3rd foot on his forehead, by which he was pushed down to another world and lost his earthly kingdom. Here it shows that the great people honor their words, no matter what the consequences could be. They never go back in their words, even if it amounts to sacrifice of their lives. The king then ordered to send with him a troop of soldiers. Manikandan told the king not to send a troop. He said the tigers would be scared and would run away seeing the army of men. Ultimately, Manikandan was permitted to go alone. He carried food and other items packed in what is called irumudi, a long bag having 2 compartments tied in the middle on his head. Pilgrims carry irumudi, packing things for the worship of Ayyappan in the front portion and packing the barest minimum of things required for preparing food on the way in the back portion of the bag on their head, as Lord Ayyappan was carrying when he went to forest. In the forest, during 2 or 3 days of trekking, nothing would be available and one has to carry necessities by oneself. This also signaled frugality or minimizing one's wants and depending on oneself or self-sufficiency, which are good habits to be cultivated for a happy life. People saw him off with praise for his swift return with tigress milk. Lord Shiva is said to have sent with Manikandan all the Bhudaganas or heavenly beings for his protection in his sojourn through the forest. On his way, Manikandan came to know the atrocities being committed by Mahishi, sister of Devan Mahishasura, who terrorized gods and whom Durga, goddess of Shakti or energy, had killed. In the heaven, Mahishi was taking revenge against God for killing her brother Mahishasura. Mahishi had obtained a boon from Lord Brahma that no one other than the son born out of Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu could kill her. She felt that a son born of Shiva and Vishnu was impossible, as both were males. So she was sure of their immortality. But the strange is the action of divine. A son was born to Vishnu in the guise of Mohini, and again from her thighs who was Manikandan. So one of the missions for which Lord Ayyappan was born was to exterminate Mahishi and other demons who terrorized gods and distracted the parents of mendicants, fearing that they might acquire powers to destroy them. Manikandan went to heaven, kingdom of God, and fought with Mahishi. He threw Mahishi down to earth. She fell on the banks of Ayva river in Sabarimala. Manikandan chased her, and at the river bank he overpowered her and climbed over her chest and started dancing violently. The impact of his dance was felt on earth and heaven. Mahishi knew that her end was nearing, and that the person dancing on her was no other than Lord Ayyappan, son of Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu in the guise of Mohini. So, before falling dead, she prostrated before Manikandan and died. It is said that Lord Shiva and Mahavishnu watched the dance from a place which is now called as Kalahasti, where there is a temple dedicated to Lord Shiva existing even today. No sooner did she fall on the ground than a beautiful woman rose up in her place. In fact, Mahishi was actually a woman by name Leela, an adopted daughter of a saint by name Kavalan. Due to her curse by her husband, she was born as daughter of Karamban in the family of demons with the face of Mahishi or she-buffalo. She was free from the curse when she died in the hands of Lord Ayyappan and regained her original form. This shows when evil tendencies are wiped out, righteousness, which is the very nature of being, regains. This episode shows that we may take birth in different forms, in different lives, depending upon our past deeds and present deeds. If we do good deeds, we may take birth as righteous and peace-loving people. If we do wrong or indulge in wrong deeds, we may take birth as wicked person and even in the form of creatures. Souls pass through different life forms, sometimes as animals, sometimes as birds, depending upon our prarabdha karma, past deeds or samskaras, till they merge with universal soul and attain eternity. This is the theory of transmigration and law of karma, which is central theme in Hindu philosophy. The weight of evil deeds of the past can be made lighter by performing good deeds in the present life, and the merits of the present life can be stored for the future. This theory encourages not to grieve about the dead past and to improve the lot by current deeds of nobility. Thus, it urges us to tread the path of virtues. Leela wanted Ayyappan to marry her. Ayyappan, even divine, did not reject her request outright. At the same time, he wanted to stay as brahmachari, nitya brahmachari, one who practices celibacy. He found of a noble way. He promised her that he would wed her at a time when there was no Kanni Ayyappan or devotee visiting Sabarimala, that is for the first time. In other words, he promised her that he would accept her as his consort at a time when there is no one visiting Sabarimala save for the first time. He also told that she would be seated next to him. She is known as Maliga Pratama, assumed to be the manifestation of Shakti or feminine power, which has manifested in other forms like Lakshmi, Saraswati, Durga and other 1,000 forms depending upon the context. Seated next to him in Sabarimala temple. From time immemorial till today, there was not a time when there were no first-time pilgrims. On the contrary, every year the number of first-time pilgrims exceeded those in the previous years. With the result, Lord Ayyappan stays as Brahmachari and Maliga Pratama as Brahmacharini. There is no other god in Hinduism like Ayyappan, practicing Nitya Brahmacharya or eternal celibacy or remaining as bachelor or single. It gives a strong message that one's ability to control the strongest of all impulses is the index of absolute control on self and all our human activities, and the sublimation of that strongest impulses or directing it through other creative channels can bring about tremendous amount of personal power and outflow of creative energy. The saints, because of the power of life of celibacy, can achieve anything they wish. It has been recorded that the ancient sages could walk on the water, move on the air, leave their bodies temporarily, materialize things from the air, read the past and future, cure incurable diseases and others which we call miracles. Lord Ayyappan has given a place to Maligapurathamma. By his side, pilgrims who go to Sabarimala also worship Maligapurathamma. So also Kadita Swami and his Muslim warrior Vavara Swami, who were his lieutenants serving in the army of the kingdom of Pandalam, of which Lord Ayyappan was commander-in-chief. Here is an example of how noble are the ways of God. For a gentleman, it is not good to good manners to reject any request outright, making other person aggrieved. It is said that even today, it is said that even if they say no, it should be told sweetly and not hurting the feeling of others. Only a person who is not selfish can do that. It is worthy to note that Lord Ayyappan took human form to serve King Rajashekharan for protecting his kingdom, pleased by the devotion of the king to Lord Shiva in his previous birth and continued in his present birth. This shows that God serves his devotees even in humblest ways. There is reference in the epics that Lord Krishna enjoyed eating banana peel while his devotee, engrossed in joy of seeing him, gave the skin of the banana, throwing away the edible portion. So also it is said that Lord Krishna enjoyed eating avil or pounded rice, which also contained pebbles offered by his boyhood bosom friend called Sudama or Kujela, who was very poor, and made him wealthiest of the wealthy without Kujela asking him any favor. This demonstrates that God knows better what we want, and we need not tell him. What all happens to us are his plans. We may ask for some petty things when God has plans to give us some great things. Our act is similar to going to a seashore and collecting some pebbles when we can actually collect pearls. There is also a story that Lord Krishna carried sandals of his devotee Mirabai on one occasion. This shows that God serves his devotees in ways unimaginable to us. All these examples show that we should be humble and prepared to do any work without the feeling whether it is noble or mean. We have heard that Gandhiji used to clean public latrines. We have heard that Mother Teresa cleaned the wounds of leprosy patients, and Amruandavayi Devi, popularly known as Amma, who is a living saint called Hugging Saint of India, is said to have hugged a leprosy patient with whom we would like to avoid contact and cleaned his open wounds, and by her divine touch the disease was cured. It is remarkable to see the unfathomable compassion shown by greatest souls toward the needy and the succor and help they provide, simply as a matter of their duty. We have to learn moral lessons from such great souls. We should shun what is called white-collar orientation and should soil our hands and be ready to any kind of useful work. No distinction should be made between work as high or low in status. Every type of work is important. Even crows and dogs, which we consider lowest creatures, for example, and meanest creatures, carry out scavenging work and keep the environment clean and hygienic. It is not what we offer that matters, it is readiness to help that matters. Even smallest help, if it benefits other person, it is praiseworthy. In Ramayana, there is a reference to the help offered by the smallest animal, squirrel. In building Ramasetu bridge, across the ocean to Lanka when Lord Rama was going in search of Sita. It rolled over the sand and moved the sand to the site of construction of the bridge. The fact that Lord Ayyappan elevated the position of Vavar, a Muslim, to divine level and accorded due place to him to be called Vavar Swami, speaks high of religious equality advocated. The message conveyed is that we should not discriminate people based on their religious background. People who belong to different religions adopt different approaches to the worship of God. But God is one and the same for all, and all are His children, which means that all should live as brothers and sisters. No religion should be considered superior to other. Lack of respect to or prejudice towards other religions divide people and community and leads to communal tensions, violence, death of people and destruction of property. Religious harmony, on the other hand, contributes to individual and social welfare. Religion should not be mixed with politics or public administration, lest there will be dangerous consequences. The function of any religion is to ensure the people to have moral, ethical constraint and become law-abiding citizens and give the individual sense of hope in times of difficulties from the feeling that there is some superior power to take care of us. After returning from heaven, Manikandan continued his trekking in the forest. He had with him few people trained in martial arts and training in weaponry. Among them were Vavar, a Muslim, a Kaditha, who were loyal to him and were his lieutenants. They had to fight with many tribals who stopped them and defeated them. Lord Shiva, Manikandan's father, ordered Indra and other gods to assume the form of tigers and tigresses. Manikandan came back to the place riding on Indra as tiger, followed by a herd of tigers, tigresses, tiger cubs. People watching the roaring tigers rushing toward the palace were struck with panic and started running hither and thither. Manikandan got down from the tiger calmly and told tigress could be milked. People who assembled there were struck with wonder. The king told him that the illness of the queen had been cured the moment he left for the forest. The mischief played by the divan came to the light. Queen repented for her misdeed. The king told that the divan should be punished for his treachery. Manikandan told that he should be left free. He added that whatever happened, happened with the will of God and no one should be blamed. This is the attitude we all should take instead of blaming our fate or someone if some misfortune befalls on us. Probably Manikandan, being broad-minded, felt that Divan acted due to ignorance, hence he should be excused for his crime. This is an ethical principle. We should be large-hearted enough to excuse the person who tried even to injure us. Lord Christ told his disciples not to punish those who crucified him. He told they know not what they are doing. Similarly, Gandhiji told while he was breathing his last that his assassin should be left free. This is the extent of human compassion great souls express. Instead of punishing the wrongdoer, he should be made to realize his mistake and repent for it and thus reform him. Punishing the offender makes him hardened in his attitude and he may develop vengeance against the person whom he thinks is his adversary. Queen would not have dared to plot against Manikandan had she had any inkling that Manikandan was incarnation of God. Such things happen in our day-to-day life. We don't notice the potentialities of other people, let alone encourage them to develop it, either due to our ignorance, carelessness or jealousy, which are all diseases of the mind. We may not even discover our own potentials being bogged down to routine things, but both are necessary. Manikandan also did not entertain any evil will toward the queen, though she plotted for his death. Revengeful attitude is not desirable, even if he has suffered in the hands of other person. Manikandan still loved and was dutiful towards his foster mother. Queen would not have committed this evil action had she not listened to her divan. The lesson here is that we should not lend our ears to evildoers, and as far as possible we should be away from their company. We should keep the good people or satsang. Everyone, including Queen, realized Manikandan was not an ordinary person but God himself, and felt he was the ideal person to succeed King Rajashekaran. He was proposed to be the successor. King ordered for all the arrangements, but Manikandan politely refused to be crowned. Name, fame, power, position, influence, opulence, which are attractions to ordinary mortals like us, were no attractions to Manikandan. Those are not attractions to great people. He was sent to fulfill certain duties, such as protecting King Rajashekaran by being commander-in-chief of his army, caring and helping his foster mother, the queen, and to show to the world human values by being personal example. He told the king that he had completed his mission for which he took human form, and his mission on earth and to return to Devaloka or heaven. The lesson we should learn from this episode is that we should work honestly and should not work for seeking name, fame, position, wealth, influence and so on, which are like passing clouds. By doing one's duty honestly, one can reach near God. We also find deleterious consequences of wrong actions. We reap happiness from good and noble actions and sorrow from unholy deeds. What we sow, so we reap. When we do meritorious action, they go to the credit side of our account. When we do unethical action, they go to the debit side of our account. In Christianity, Islam, Sikhism, Buddhism and other religions of the world, it is believed there is a final day of judgment for everyone when he departs this world, when he is either convicted or acquitted, depending upon his deeds. Good deeds we do always come to our rescue when we face hardships. All including Queen realized that Manikandan was incarnation of God. The king prostrated before Manikandan and prayed that he should be available always to bless his devotees, which he readily agreed. He shot an arrow and asked the king to erect a shrine for him. The arrow struck the place where the present temple exists. The king erected temple there. It is said Lord Parashurama, who was one of the 10 incarnations of Mahavishnu, was sent for consecration ceremony. He made idol and installed. Lord Ayyappan declared that he would bless his devotees who come to him after observing vrata or austerities for 41 days and climbing over 18 mountains and 18 holy steps, carrying on their forehead irumudi or bundle which he carried when he left for forest for tigress milk. Bhagavan Ayyappan instructed the steps to be followed in raising the shrine. He told that 18 steps to be constructed. These steps represent many holy things described below. Pilgrims should climb over these 18 steps to reach Sanctum Sanctorum for having vision of Lord Ayyappan. When he was leaving for heaven, his lieutenants Vavar and Kadutta wanted to stay with him. Manikandan told the king that they should also be installed in Sabarimala. They were elevated to the position of gods, and the pilgrims worshipped them also as they worshipped Lord Ayyappan and Devi Madhyaparatama. They are called Vavar Swami and Kadutta Swami. What an ennobling and spiritually elevating thought! What a magnificent symbol of interreligious harmony and goodwill. Separate shrine had been built for them just below the 18 steps. Lord Ayyappan also directed the king to give praise to Madhyaparatama, who stays near him as maiden, hoping to get married to Lord Ayyappan as per his promise, when there is no person visiting Sabarimala. The significance of 18 steps. There are 18 steps built in the Sabarimala temple. Those steps are to be climbed to reach the Sanctum Sanctorum. Those steps were initially made of granite. They were worn out due to heavy use by devotees and because of the practice of breaking coconuts on the steps by throwing them against the steps by the pilgrims while climbing. Recently, Travancore Devastam Board changed those steps and installed steps made of an alloy or 5 metals called Panchaloham in Malayalam, based on astrological prediction of divine will and what is called Deva Prashanam. Panchaloham is an alloy of gold, silver, iron, copper and tin. This alloy is considered as auspicious. The practice of forcibly throwing the coconut was also stopped to avoid damage to a staff. It is believed that the number 18 is a sacred number. It signifies many things. First, it represents the following. The first 5 steps represent 5 indriyas and sensory organs such as eye, ear, tongue, nose, skin. It is advocated that these sensory organs should be put to virtuous use. They should not be misused. For example, eye should see only good things. Ear should hear only good about others. Tongue should be used to speak gently, not rudely. In other words, we should develop control over these sense organs so that they are not misused. The climbing of these 5 steps by pilgrims means that they have vowed that they will put all the sense organs for constructive purposes. These sensory organs chase the objects of pleasure of the outside world. The devotee is supposed to have developed a power to check this tendency of his sense organ. He is expected to set ceiling on his desires. He is expected to develop a moderate lifestyle, not indulging in too much physical pleasure. He is expected to eschew all his bad or unhealthy habits. The next 8 represent negative or destructive emotions in man. Those are kama or love or excessive craving for pleasure of the world or physical comfort, to krodha or losing temper easily or being aggressive. Third is lobha or miserliness or covetousness or avarice. Fourth is moha, lust or thirst for libidinousness. Fifth is mada, means pride or being snobbish. Sixth is matsarya or unhealthy competition. 7 is asuya or jealousy. 8 is dumb or boastfulness or inflated ego. When a pilgrim climbs over these steps, it means he has freed himself from these evil tendencies and is free from worldly ties that bind him physically and mentally to the world. It is only then he is ready to receive divine blessings and grace, which is in the form of discovering in himself the divinity inherent in him and which is his true nature. The next 3 steps represent Sattva-guna, Raja-guna and Tamo-guna. These are 3 mental states which determine characteristic lifestyle of person. Man is essentially divine in nature, but this divinity is hidden deep under irresistible thought, feelings or emotion which arise at the surface and which controls one's life. The first thought condition is sattva or pure, noble. Second one is rajas, meaning passionate, agitated. The third is tamas, dull, inactive. Combination of these states in different proportions constitute the human personalities. Tamas is a state of mind in complete laziness, inertia, indolence, heedlessness, inactivity, slumber, etc., where the person has no purpose of action, softness of emotions, and moral ethical consideration. His existence is partly like the existence of minerals, which are inert, and partly like the existence of wild animals, which are governed by passions and instincts. Rajas is condition of mind when it is agitated and stormy, passionate, ambitious, constantly riddled with raw desires, emotions, activities, greed, self-aggrandizement and so on. He is obstinate, arrogant and totally egoistic. A Rajasic person appears to be dynamic and is always engaged in some activities or other, but all with no higher purpose other than satiation of instincts, impulses and spiraling desires. Sattvic person has the state of mind with balanced joy, is serene, calm, composed, creative, poised, neither elated nor depressed in joy or depressed in anguish. All his actions are directed toward higher goals or purposes other than for biological existence. He is said to be in a state of man-man or man-God. He has perfect control over his body and mind, has a strong discrimination, discerning faculty or viveka and a strong conscience which directs his thought, feelings and action in regard to outside world such that his actions are appropriate to meet the challenges of the world and highly moral, ethical in character or supportive of human. Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic layers envelop ourselves which is divine in nature, just like the smoke covers the flames of fire. But those layers can be removed easily with little effort. God awareness comes in the state of complete stopping of all thoughts, whether it is positive or negative, the origin of which is outside world. Positive thoughts that surface our minds can be controlled rather easily by turning the mind off. In other words, we can stay above Sattvic guna rather easily, but it is not easy to turn off negative thoughts, emotions, instincts, cravings, impulses from our minds. In fact, one has to transcend all the three mental propensities in order to experience power of God within us. Because God is formless, qualityless, attributeless or nirguna, nirvikalpa. In Upanishads, the nature of God is described by the word niti, meaning not this, not this. We cannot say what God is. We can only say that God is not what we see, what we hear, what we know with our limited intellect. Although it is a fact that all these and every creation are handiwork. He is a master architect of this universe. We can move above these three states by silencing our mind by the practice of meditation. After practicing other steps advocated in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra like Yama, Niyama, Pratyahara, Nididhyasa, Dharana and so on. As Swami Chinmayananda points out, religion should help to chasten our desires and thoughts and ultimately to end them as we rise from tamas to sattva. Divinity gradually unfolds itself, and when the last traces of sattvic desires are also eliminated, man becomes God or Jivan Mukta or Bodhisattva as called in Buddhism and Nirvana called in Jainism, moksha or liberation in Hinduism. It is an absolute state of Atman becoming one with Brahman as per the Mahakavya Tattvamasi, that thou art. The next two steps represent Vidya or knowledge and Avidya or ignorance. What we call Vidya or knowledge include two types, namely Sthula Buddhi or gross intellect, which comes in operation in understanding worldly affairs or matter, and Sukshma Buddhi or subtle intellect, which seeks knowledge of spirit and our inner being. Both are creation of our limited intellect. So also the opposite of knowledge or ignorance and its manifestation like superstition and Maya, as Shankaracharya calls it, which makes us feel that outside objects are real and permanent, though they are not. They are all creation of our limited human intellect. These help us to take us in the path to some extent. Just crutches help the person who just recovered from fracture of his legs to walk for a while. When the person starts walking on his own, crutches have no use, although the person may still try to cling to it because of his strong habits. Normally, we are all slaves to our habits if we think the same way and act in the same way. Those become our habits of thought and action. We develop rigidity of thought and action. We stick to old habits and practices, irrespective whether they are functional or not in the changed context. We tend to be blind to new ways of doing and new opportunities. It is mindset we develop and to what extent we are flexible in our attitude. Sticking to injurious personal habits and holding on prejudices are all the result of such mental mechanisms. We have to overcome and stay above our ordinary intellect. Shankaracharya told that God exists in the Anandamaya Kosha, or the realm of ecstasy, level above other three mundane levels which he calls Annamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha and Vijnanamaya Kosha. At that level, God is sublime experience having electrifying positive effect. Even a split-second awareness or glimpse of God has tremendous effect on us. It is believed that those who detach oneself from worldly pleasures can see Lord Ayyappan in real sense. What is recommended is avoidance of excessive indulgence in materialistic life and following spiritual values. It is expected that the pilgrim who practice austerities as mentioned above and climbed 18 steps reverentially have forsaken all human vices and have become men of virtues. When they have become men of virtues, they are able to realize divine power or to receive grace of God Ayyappan. So every pilgrim should look into himself and see whether he has improved his character and conduct and life in general as an outcome of pilgrimage to Sabarimala. He has to see whether he has become a better person in the sense he left certain bad habits he had before and have cultivated in some new virtues in his daily life. If he finds a progressive change in him, then he can be sure that he has derived the benefit intended from Sabarimala pilgrimage. The second interpretation is that Ayyappan is a master of 18 weapons. Before merging the idol, it is believed he surrendered his 18 weapons, one at each step of Parinattam body. The 18 weapons symbolize 18 forces which protect the people from their enemies. But who are the enemies? Enemies are mostly the forces directed by us towards destructive goals. For instance, anger is a force which, when directed against a person, turns harmful. And the same emotion, anger, is directed to solve a problem or sublimated. To solve a problem, it leads to persistent and sustained effort till the goal is reached. Similarly, love is a positive energy and hatred is a negative energy. Love, which is a form of energy, is directed towards a person or object in benevolence, leads to attraction. When it is directed against the person with malevolent motive, it turns into hatred. It is like the same instrument which can be used for helpful or harmful purposes. Knife can be a surgical knife which is used to save human life, or it could be the butcher's knife. Knife is the same, but its uses are different. So the word weapon here has to be understood in such broader context of meaning than we normally understand. The third view is that 18 steps stand for 18 mountains, which is surrounded by Sabarimala. On each of the 18 steps, the deity corresponding to that of mountain is installed. So the pilgrim receives the blessings of this 18 presiding deity of the mountains. During Padipuja, these deities are propitiated. In the ancient Hindu texts, it is a recurring theme that the divinity is present in all the creation of the universe, including mountains, rivers, trees, animals, and of course, in the highest form of creation we call man. The above symbolism also shows how intractably linked we are with the mother nature and urges us to be eco-friendly in the exploitation of natural resources. Any resource should neither be misused or used excessively or to the point of exhaustion or extinction. The so-called most intricate ecological balance is to be ensured. It is a nature which includes mountains, rivers, forests that give us serenity and peace of mind. The fourth interpretation relates to is the significance in Hindu philosophy. The significance of the number 18 can be traced to Vedic age, which goes back to thousands of years. The first Veda, protected by Lord Brahma, himself had 18 chapters. Later, Sri Vedavyasa divided the Veda and created 4 Vedas, namely Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda and Atharvaveda. Each Veda has 18 chapters. Vedavyasa also wrote 18 Puranas and 18 Upapuranas. There are 18 chapters in Mahabharata, 18 chapters in Bhagavad Gita. Kurukshetra war lasted 18 days. The holy steps represent 4 Vedas, 6 Vedangas or Upavedas, 6 Darshanas or schools of philosophy and 2 epics. The steps also represent 14 worlds from the Padalam to Satyalogam and 4 other worlds, Antariksha, Akasha and Hell or Jyotirmaya, totaling 18. There is a strong conviction that pilgrims overcome the following vices to be crossed by 18 holy steps. Those are avidya or ignorance, superstition, asmita or unpleasantness, raga or attachment, dvesha or harming, lobha or covetousness or acquisitiveness, moha or desire, mada or false prestige, matsarya or rivalry, and other durvasanas such as 7 grievances created for others like nayat or hunting or killing innocent animals for food, commercial purposes and food, chude or ridicule, trapping our man by trick, gambling, sriti seva, libidinal activities, madhyapana or use of intoxicating substances, vak paurusha, being rude or harassing or using harsh words, danda paurusha, intimidation, assaulting a person, and artha dushana or improper, unethical ways of using money, including being extravagant in spending habits. We should shun the evil qualities we have in us and practice virtues in its place. Those which are advocated by Lord Ayyappan, and those should be the aim and purpose of undertaking pilgrimage to Sabarimala. When pilgrims do difficult trekking, they call aloud Swamiye Sharanam Ayyappa, meaning Lord, you are our refuge, and re-energize themselves to maneuver trekking uphill. While trekking, they think about nothing except Lord Ayyappan and experience divine inspiration. Those moments are difficult to explain, they are to be experienced. The message that comes out of this is that when we face a difficult situation, we should face it with optimism and faith in Almighty, and with a sense of challenge rather than giving up the attempts or showing defeatist attitude. Positive attitude or the feeling that we are capable is to be cultivated. There should also be sustained enduring efforts, not being discouraged by failures. From failures, the lesson to be learned is not to repeat it. Failures should drive us to find out some new course of action by proper reasoning. If we do any work with complete involvement and not getting our mind distracted by apprehension, whether we would succeed or not, we are bound to succeed. We should also not expect which we get as gain without our efforts, like money we get through lottery. Money or assets well earned gives us unique pleasure. A casket containing bejeweled golden ornaments is carried on the head by people from Pandalam Palace, whether they go to Sabarimala on the day prior to Magarabalaku, which for a Garuda or golden eagle, supposed to be the vehicle of Mahavishnu, follows the procession carrying ornaments all the way up to the temple. When the person reaches the temple, the bird circulates down the sky 3 times. It is said that it shows the way in the thick forest to the temple when there was nothing to go by in ancient days. It is also believed that the bird was actually a Brahmin taken that form. In the Ramayana epic, we come across eagle Jadayu, who was bosom friend of Lord Rama's father Dasharatha, who fought with Ravana to rescue Sita Devi when Ravana, after kidnapping her from Panchavali, taking her to Lanka in his Pushpak Viman. The ornaments are worn on the idol of Ayyappan and evening worship is performed as Tantric rites. Apart from worship 3 times daily as per Vedic rites, significant ritual performed in the temple is called Neyi Abhishekam, meaning bathing the idol with ghee obtained from cow's milk brought by devotees filled in coconuts after removing water from outside. The ghee removed from the idol is given as prasad, meaning holy substance having divine power. This prasad is believed to be a remedy for all ills. Other prasad given to the devotees are appam or pancake, round in size, and aravala payasam or porridge made out of rice, jaggery, egg, etc. Right in front of the sanctum sanctorum, the Mahakavya from Chandoko Upanishad, Tattvamasi, meaning that thou art, which means Jivatma or self or life force, and Paramatma or cosmic power are the same, has been inscribed. It proclaims that divinity exists within us and in the universe is one and the same. To conclude, the true spirit of pilgrimage to Sabarimala is to help the devotees to be pure in body and mind and enable them to realize, experience the God within, thereby enable them to lead a lasting, happy and peaceful life.